It was a cold and rainy night on the outer colony planet called Tryon 7. The streets were nearly empty, except for the sound of raindrops hitting metal rooftops and the hum of streetlights. Ray, a human technician who worked long hours fixing old machines, walked slowly through the narrow streets. His jacket was soaked and his boots made wet sounds with every step. He just wanted to get home, eat something simple, and rest. As he turned a corner near an abandoned building, something caught his eye. At first he thought it was just trash or a pile of old blankets. But when lightning flashed for a brief second, he saw movement. Someone was there. He stopped and looked closer. Under a broken roof, hidden in the shadows, was a figure. Small, thin, and clearly trying to stay out of sight. Ray stepped a little closer. That's when he realized it wasn't human. She had pale blue skin, her arms wrapped around her knees, and her clothes looked torn and dirty. Her hair was wet and stuck to her face. She didn't move or speak. She just sat there quietly shivering. Ray looked around. No one else was there. He slowly knelt down and spoke softly. "Hey, are you okay?" She lifted her head slightly. Her eyes were a soft violet color, but filled with sadness and fear. She didn't answer him, but it was clear she was tired and weak. Ray didn't know what to do. He had heard stories about aliens living in the streets, hiding from patrols, escaping war or worse. Some people said it was dangerous to help them. But looking at her now, so young, scared, and alone, he couldn't walk away. He took off his jacket and held it out to her. "You're freezing. Take this." She hesitated, staring at the jacket, then at him. Slowly, she reached out and took it with shaky hands. She pulled it around herself and closed her eyes, holding on to its warmth. Ray sighed. "Listen, my place isn't far from here. It's warm. I have food. You can rest there, just for tonight." The girl looked up at him, unsure if she could trust him. But her body was too weak to argue. After a moment, she gave a small nod. Ray helped her to her feet. She was lighter than he expected, and she leaned on him for support. He guided her through the rain, back toward his small home, a simple one-room shelter with a working heater and old furniture. When they entered, Ray quickly brought her a dry towel and told her to sit near the heater. She didn't say much, only giving him small nods or glances. He didn't press her for answers. He opened a pack of instant noodles and warmed them up. As the smell of food filled the room, the alien girl's eyes widened. She hadn't eaten in a long time, he could tell. He placed the bowl in front of her. "It's not much, but it's hot." She picked up the spoon slowly and took a bite. Then another. And then she finished the entire bowl in minutes. She looked at him as if surprised that he would feed her. "You were really hungry," Ray said with a soft smile. She looked down, almost embarrassed. "What's your name?" He asked kindly. There was silence for a moment, then she whispered almost too quietly to hear. "Sayla." Ray nodded. "I'm Ray. You can stay here tonight, Sayla. No one will bother you." She looked at him for a few seconds. Her expression was hard to read, but her eyes showed a small spark, something he hadn't seen before. Maybe it was hope. He set up a small bed for her using some blankets and a pillow. She didn't speak again, but before lying down, she whispered, "Thank you." Ray gave her a gentle nod. "Good night." He turned off the lights, leaving only a dim lamp on the side. As he lay down on his own bed across the room, he stared at the ceiling, thinking. He didn't know who she was, where she came from, or what trouble might follow. But something inside him said he did the right thing. In the quiet of the night, with the rain still tapping on the roof, Sayla curled up in the warmth of his jacket. And though she didn't say it aloud that night, for the first time in weeks, she felt safe. The next morning, sunlight poured softly through the small window of Ray's house. The rain had stopped, and the street outside was beginning to dry. Ray woke early and looked over at Sayla. She was still asleep on the small bed, wrapped tightly in the jacket he had given her. She looked peaceful but very weak. Ray quietly got up and went to the kitchen. He decided to prepare breakfast, something warm and filling. He didn't know much about alien food, but he hoped simple human food would be okay. He made some scrambled eggs and toasted bread. After a few minutes, Sayela stirred and opened her violet eyes slowly. She looked tired but alert. Ray smiled and said, "Good morning. I made breakfast. You should eat something." Sayela blinked and looked at the plate. She had never seen eggs cooked like this, but hunger won over her doubts. She reached out and took a small bite, then another. She ate carefully at first, but soon she was eating like she had not eaten in days. Ray watched her quietly, feeling glad he had helped her. She was still quiet, but every bite made her look stronger. When she finished, Sayela leaned back and sighed softly. She looked at Ray with grateful eyes. "Thank you," she said softly. Her voice was still weak but clearer than before. Ray nodded. "You're welcome. Take your time. You're safe here." For a moment they sat in silence. Then Sayela asked, "Why did you help me?" Ray looked at her and smiled. "Because everyone deserves kindness, no matter who they are or where they come from." Sayela looked down. She said nothing, but Ray could see a deep sadness in her eyes. After breakfast, Sayela tried to stand, but she was still weak. Ray helped her. She moved slowly around the small room, testing her strength. Ray asked, "Where are you from, Sayela? Why were you on the street?" Sayela looked away, her hands clenched into fists. "My home, it is gone." Ray's eyes widened. "What happened?" She took a deep breath and said, "War, fire, many lost everything." Ray listened carefully, understanding just a little but feeling the pain behind her words. "Your people?" he asked gently. Sayela nodded. "We are refugees now, no place to go, no friends, no family." Ray felt a strong sadness. He wished he could do more, but for now, this small shelter and warm food was all he could offer. For the rest of the day, Sayela stayed inside. Ray gave her clean clothes he had saved for work. They were not perfect, but better than what she had. She accepted them quietly and changed behind a curtain he made for privacy. When she came out, Ray saw her skin was pale but softer now. Her hair was still wet but brushed back neatly. Sayela looked at herself in the mirror. She touched her face with a small smile, a rare moment of peace. Ray asked, "Do you want to rest or go outside?" Sayela thought for a moment. "I want to learn about your world, but I am afraid." Ray understood. "I will be with you. We can go slowly." Later he took her to a small garden behind the house. The plants were simple but alive. Small green leaves and bright flowers. Sayela touched a flower gently. "Your world is beautiful." Ray smiled. "It has its problems, but yes, it can be beautiful." They spent time in the garden talking quietly. Sayela asked about Earth, about humans, and about kindness. Ray told her stories of his childhood, his dreams, and his hopes for a better future. She listened with wide eyes, sometimes smiling, sometimes lost in thought. As the sun began to set, Ray made a simple dinner. Sayela helped by setting the table and cleaning the dishes afterward. She worked carefully, as if trying to belong. After dinner, Sayela sat close to Ray. She looked at him with a new feeling, something warm and soft in her heart. "I do not remember feeling safe before," she said quietly. Ray looked at her. "You are safe now, and you have a friend." Sayela smiled shyly. For the first time, she let herself relax. That night, as they prepared for sleep, Sayela whispered, "I want to stay, with you." Ray reached out and took her hand gently. "You are welcome here, Sayela. Always." The next morning, the sun shone brightly through the small window of Ray's home. The air was warm and fresh, carrying the soft sounds of birds outside. Sayela woke slowly, feeling stronger than before. The food and rest had helped her, but more than that she felt something new, a small hope growing inside her heart. Ray was already up, fixing a broken radio on his workbench. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Good morning, Sayela," he said warmly. "Good morning, Ray," she replied softly. Today felt different. Sayla wanted to do more than just rest and eat. She wanted to help, to feel useful again. After breakfast, she stood up and looked around the small room. Her eyes fell on an old chair with a loose leg. She walked over carefully and touched it. "Can I fix this?" she asked. Ray was surprised but pleased. "Of course. You seem handy." Sayla smiled for the first time. It was small, but real. Ray brought his toolkit and showed her how to tighten the screws and repair the leg. She watched closely, learning quickly. Her fingers moved with care and skill. After a while, the chair stood strong and steady again. "Good job," Ray said, impressed. Sayla felt proud. She hadn't felt this way in a long time. Over the next few days, Sayla helped Ray around the house. She cleaned, watered the plants, and even cooked simple meals. Ray taught her little things about human life, and she shared stories about her own culture, although she kept many memories private. One afternoon, they went to the market together. Sayla was nervous in the crowd, but Ray stayed close. People stared at Sayla's blue skin and pointed ears, but no one said anything rude. Some smiled kindly, and a few children reached out to touch her hand, curious but gentle. At the market, Sayla saw many strange and wonderful things, bright colors, smells, and noises. She laughed quietly when a small dog barked at her and ran in circles. Ray bought fresh fruits and bread, and they walked back slowly, enjoying the sunshine. As they returned, a neighbor greeted them with a friendly wave. Sayla felt a warmth inside her. She was beginning to belong. Back at the house, they sat in the garden. Sayla looked up at the clear blue sky. "Ray," she said softly, "I have not smiled like this for a long time. You make me feel alive." Ray looked at her, his heart beating faster. "You deserve happiness, Sayla," he said gently. "Everyone does." She reached out and took his hand. Their fingers touched, and a quiet feeling passed between them, a connection deeper than words. That evening, while they ate dinner, Sayla told Ray a little about her family. "I had a brother and a sister," she said quietly. "They stayed behind when I left." Ray listened carefully, sensing her pain. "I hope they are safe," he said. Sayla nodded, tears in her eyes. "I hope so too." Ray took her hand again. "You are not alone now." The days passed and Sayla grew stronger. She laughed more and spoke more. Ray saw her slowly healing, like a broken flower opening to the sun. One night, as they sat under the stars, Sayla whispered, "I never thought I would find kindness in this world. You are different from others." Ray smiled. "Maybe because we both needed each other." Sayla leaned her head on his shoulder. They sat quietly, sharing a peaceful moment. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Ray opened it to find a patrol officer standing outside. His expression was serious. "Ray, we have reports of an unregistered alien in this area," the officer said. "It is against the law for aliens without papers to stay here." Ray frowned. "She is my guest. She means no harm." The officer shook his head. "I understand, but you must follow the rules. She needs to leave or be registered immediately." Ray looked back at Sayla. She stood behind him, trembling but brave. He turned to the officer. "Give me some time, I will find a way." The officer nodded slowly. "But don't wait too long." When the patrol left, Ray closed the door and turned to Sayla. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "There are rules we must follow." Sayla wiped her eyes. "I do not want to leave. I want to stay with you." Ray felt a strong feeling inside him, protectiveness, care, and something more. "We will find a way," he promised. Together. Sayla smiled, and for the first time, her eyes shone with hope, not fear. The morning sun filled Ray's small house with soft light, but the worry inside him did not fade. The patrol officer's visit had left a heavy weight on his mind. He knew the laws about aliens living in human zones were strict, and ignoring them could bring trouble for both him and Sayla. Sayla sat quietly at the table, her violet eyes full of worry. She had become stronger and more comfortable in Ray's home, but now the fear of losing this safe place returned. Ray tried to smile. "We will find a way, don't worry." But deep down, he knew it wouldn't be easy. Later that day, Ray went to the local administration office. The building was large and cold, filled with busy people and loud voices. He explained Sayela's situation to the clerk, hoping for help. "She needs legal papers," the clerk said firmly. "Without them, she cannot stay." Ray asked, "Is there a way to get those papers quickly?" The clerk shook her head. "The process takes time, and you must prove she has a job or purpose here." Ray thought hard. "I have a small workshop. Maybe she can help me." The clerk nodded slowly. "That could work. You need to apply and wait for approval." Ray thanked her and left, feeling both hope and worry. Back at home, Ray explained the plan to Sayla. "If you can help me in my workshop, we can register you as a helper. That will give you the right to stay." Sayela's eyes brightened. "I want to help. I want to stay with you." Ray smiled. "Good. Tomorrow we start." The next morning, Sayela followed Ray to his workshop. The place was filled with old machines, tools, and spare parts. Ray showed her how to clean, organize, and fix small items. Sayela was quick to learn. Her hands were steady, and she had a natural talent for understanding machines. Ray watched her with pride. "You are good at this." Sayela blushed slightly. "I want to help you. You helped me." Days passed. Sayela worked hard, and Ray helped her practice human skills, reading, speaking clearly, and using tools. She smiled more now, and even made jokes that made Ray laugh. One afternoon, the patrol officer returned. Ray opened the door, feeling nervous. The officer looked at Sayela, then at Ray. "Is she working here now?" he asked. Ray nodded. "Yes. She helps me." The officer studied Sayela closely. "I will report this to my superiors, but for now you may stay." Ray breathed a sigh of relief. That evening, Sayela looked at Ray with shining eyes. "Thank you for believing in me." Ray took her hand gently. "I believe in us." But not everything was peaceful. One night, while Ray was asleep, Sayela heard noises outside the window. She looked out and saw a group of shadowy figures moving quietly. They seemed dangerous. Sayela's heart raced. She remembered stories of alien hunters, people who captured aliens for money, or worse. She woke Ray softly. "There is danger." Ray sat up, alert. "Where?" Sayela pointed toward the dark street. Ray grabbed a small flashlight and looked outside. The figures were gone. "Maybe it was nothing," Ray said, trying to calm her. But Sayela wasn't convinced. The next day, Ray contacted a friend in the colony's security team. He explained the situation and asked for help. The friend promised to increase patrols near Ray's home. Sayela felt safer but still worried. She told Ray, "I want to protect you too." Ray smiled warmly. "You already do." They spent the day together, talking about the future. Sayela dreamed of a place where aliens and humans could live together peacefully. Ray believed it too. They didn't know what challenges awaited, but they knew they would face them side by side. That night, Sayela rested peacefully holding Ray's hand. For the first time, she truly felt at home. Days turned into weeks. The small home of Ray and Sayela slowly became a place filled with warmth and hope. Sayela learned more about human life, and Ray understood more about the strength it took for her to survive. Together, they built a quiet world of trust and care. Ray had helped Sayela get registered as a helper in his workshop. With legal papers in hand, she was allowed to stay in the colony without fear. It was a small victory, but it meant everything to both of them. Neighbors, who once ignored Sayela, began to smile and greet her. Some even brought small gifts, flowers or food, as a sign of acceptance. It was the start of a new life. One afternoon, Ray and Sayela sat in their garden, watching the soft breeze move the leaves. Sayela looked at Ray with bright eyes. "Do you remember the night I came to your home?" she asked softly. Ray smiled. "How could I forget? You were cold and scared. Sayla laughed quietly. I was broken. You gave me shelter. Ray reached out and held her hand. You gave me something too, hope. Sayla's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to lose this. Not again. You won't, Ray promised. As the days passed, their bond grew stronger. They shared stories, dreams, and quiet moments that needed no words. Sayla no longer saw herself as a beggar or a refugee. She was someone loved and needed. One evening, as the stars appeared, Sayla looked up and whispered, Ray, I want to stay here forever. With you. Ray's heart swelled. And I want that too. They sat close, hands intertwined, feeling a peaceful warmth that had been missing from both their lives. But the world outside was not always kind. One day, a letter arrived for Ray. It was an official notice. The colony leaders wanted proof that Sayla's presence was good for the community. They asked Ray to show that she was more than just a guest. Ray took Sayla's hand and said, We have to prove your place here. Together. Sayla nodded. I will do my best. They worked harder in the workshop, fixing machines and helping neighbors. Sayla's skills impressed many. Slowly, the community saw her not as a stranger, but as one of their own. One afternoon, a group of officials visited Ray's home. They spoke kindly with Sayla and watched her work. Ray stood proudly by her side. After the visit, Sayla turned to Ray. Do you think they accept me now? Ray smiled. I believe they do. Days later, a letter arrived. Sayla's status was confirmed. She was now officially part of the colony. Tears filled her eyes as she hugged Ray tightly. Thank you for saving me. Ray kissed her forehead gently. No, you saved me too. Their lives settled into a happy rhythm. They shared meals, laughter, and quiet nights. Sayla taught Ray about her people's traditions, and he shared human stories. One day, Sayla showed Ray a small wooden box. Inside was a delicate necklace, a gift from her late mother. I want you to have this, she said softly, to remember me. Ray accepted it with honor. I will wear it always. Together they dreamed of a future, one where humans and aliens live side by side, where kindness and love could heal old wounds. Sayla's past was painful, but her future was bright, and it was with Ray. The alien girl who had once begged on the street had found shelter, safety, and love. Ray, the human who had offered a simple kindness, found a friend who changed his world forever. As they sat together under the stars, hand in hand, neither was alone anymore. They had each other. And that was enough.